before the conference starts, and he's like, "Hey, you got anywhere to stay?" Like, it's like, yeah, hotels were sold out 2 months ago.
Yeah, because I decided to go on this whim, like it was like 2 weeks prior. So
We had a super gracious host.
So August 20th.
It was in the summer.
yeah, it was over the summer.
Yeah, it's a very famous top. Tell people who don't know. Is there anything interesting?
So how are we gonna do? So Michael, was Sidney gonna kick us off with like a remote presentation?
Yeah, but he has to go to the Aspen thing, so he can't join anymore.
Oh,
So he's not doing it at all.
No.
Okay.
Lucky.
That's what happens when you're not here.
yeah.
So
All right.
yeah, we're just gonna like talk about it.
So you're going first?
Describe what it is.
Okay, so my name's Luigi, right? If you guys didn't know, and Kyle and I work on this lunar CubeSat. So it made sense for one of us to go to SmallSat, and SmallSat is this annual conference that is about everything from SmallSats to CubeSats to picosats. They have different terminologies like nanosats and whatnot. It just means the size and the mass, right? And yeah, so it's pretty big. Like over the years, it's actually, so it was my first time, but it's been growing. So there was a huge crowd, I'd say. Yeah, so
1,000, 2,000?
I don't know actually, but there's there's just like a lot of people. And then so there's this pre-workshop that's over the weekend. It was Saturday and Sunday, and it's more technical, more these colleges have this. They talk about their efforts, and so then during the week you have more information from these companies that have like a bigger role in the market. So that was neat. Yeah, so that's like a brief intro.
Yeah, that thing was massive. I went to the pre-workshop and I was impressed because there was like 400 people in a conference room. I'm like, wow, this is a conference? I'm like, you've never been here, have you? I'm like, no. He's like, wait till Monday.
Yeah.
And it was an entire building, like a 4,000 square foot building that had 3 floors, booths, and also another stadium full of people going over, updated things going on in the markets.
Was there a lot of international participation, Italy and such?
Yeah. I mean, I found out later this is like the standard. It's been going on 17 years.
Yeah, I was surprised to find out that the conference is long-standing as it was. Like it's been going back for almost 2 decades. 3 full floors.
Yeah.
You have everybody there from SpaceX and Boeing to SmallSat CubeSat startups you haven't heard of, to university projects, university labs from countries like all over the world. It's like I talked to one team and they're like, oh, we're the first like Romanians to send SmallSats into space. We're the first Lithuanians to send SmallSats into space. Like, everybody is like kind of the first in their country to do it. Like they want to be there, part of the action.
But who was the guy that stayed with you in the house? He was with SSC, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah.
That guy was awesome.
Pete Toronto.
Yeah. I still stay in touch with him too.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
I forget an email.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
we
can
keep
just put
texting
you in
each other.
touch.
So there's 3 of these things together.
There's actually a 4th guy there who we never saw.
Yeah, we never saw
This
him.
mystery guy.
He stayed within the same room.
No, so Luigi and I, we stayed with the same host. He's this very nice lady who worked at the conference. And so Luigi and I were roommates, and there were a couple of other people staying at the conference who were like working for big companies. All their expenses were paid for, so they actually got full rooms. Luigi and I were kind of up in the basement, but it was perfectly nice. We were like, she was a professional landscaper, so she had this beautiful garden outside. She was always very, very nice, very gracious host. But yeah, I mean the conference itself was really an eye-opening experience. I forget who mentioned it to me, but somebody was doing market research on just like 2014, and apparently there were 20 SmallSat startups that emerged in that single year. So you really see a lot of these new kinds of players coming along and emerging. And it's a very, very big ecosystem. Everybody's got a little niche, and they've also got like secondary niches. Everybody's trading different parts as they're making their small satellites to kind of pay the bills as they go along. So yeah, it was really cool.
I love following Luigi around, watching him tell everybody what the hell they were doing wrong with his satellite.
No, I wasn't saying.
No, he's being polite all, but he's like, sure you want to do it that way? Who's the guy that we met that wanted to do, instead of a reaction sphere?
Oh, so the guy who owns the company Sinclair.
Yeah.
His name is Doug Sinclair. He makes wheels. He's been making them for like 5 to 8 years or something. And Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much, right now, his wheels are like the standard right now. And which is nice. So what he thought about doing.
Wheels for what?
All right, so you don't use wheels in space because there's no road, right? So what you use are flywheels, right? And flywheels, you just spin them up and it helps you stabilize if you want to point somewhere. So if you want to point at a certain target and follow it, you'll use the wheels to spin up, and then they'll spool up in speed as you move, and then you bring it back to this previous speed, and then you're done, right? And so they are just flywheels, and you have a motor that moves this flywheel, and it's just this mass. Yeah, so they're always used if you want to do communications and use like a high gain antenna or take pictures. So that's just common to use. Yeah, so his idea was if you have, right now you have to always buy 3 wheels, right? X, Y, and Z axes, right? Why not just make a sphere, right? And there's been talks about making spheres and
Spheres.
so instead of having a flywheel spin only on one axis, you have this sphere that is suspended by these magnets, and then you can rotate it. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool.
Don't the magnets have to rotate them?
No, so the magnets are just inside of the frame, and this
And they're
is
activated
either
differently.
solid or hollow, and itself may have magnets or metal that is part of it. And so you just control the speed and use different axes. It's hard to me. Can't picture it.
It's easy for me. It's just.
It's hard.
So you'd have the sphere, and you could control it in 3 dimensions, then it would be hollow and take up the room.
No, it's small. The idea was to make it small. When I was at Goddard, I actually saw one. So.
The sphere?
Yeah, so Goddard was trying to create their own spherical reaction system. But yeah, I mean, that was only what I saw over the summer. I mean, that's all I know.
So there's that's great about the small sat business is that all these new tinkerers are putting their ideas in there, and maybe they'll surprise the experts and make it work, and that's good, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just quickly, just to understand why it's important, is if you have this cheap platform, this CubeSat, that's like a 1U or 2U, you can slap on any kind of science instrument or some new tech demo and pay for a flight or go through the Solana system, and you get a free ride, and then you can test it out. So it could be a tech demo for a new part, science instrument that you want to get some initial feasibility study done with it. And then you can then scale up to the next size mission. Say, hey, it worked, right? It cost you nothing.
What was the name of that test again?
Oh, which test?
Slanus or Road? What did you?
Elena?
Oh, okay.
That's Educational Launch Initiative. It's if you get picked, NASA will give you a free ride. But you have to build your own CubeSat.
You have to be nonprofit university.
Yeah, and you have to have a science.
What if you just lose all your money when you do it? Would that be considered okay, or do you have to be official nonprofit?
I don't know, because then you can just pay a company like
I think you
NanoRax.
have to be officially
Yeah,
nonprofit.
You can just pay NanoRax, it's just
You can't do anything.
But you partner with a university, donate your
Ah,
funds.
yes, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
That's how you get the.
So you need some university backing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
and
Even
it's kind of weird, like,
nonprofit.
so you apply.
I have a question.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was surprised to hear there's collaboration with these CubeSat companies. I was thinking there's more competition and that they wouldn't talk to each other and like try to share their ideas.
This company's called, so Doug Sinclair named it after himself, right? And he sells hardware, that's what he does. But I don't know of different collaboration. If there was collaboration, it'd probably be to offer kids complete, integrated products, right? But you're saying about trying to compete. I don't know. Actually, I mean, if it was like service-based, maybe they wouldn't actually work together. They would then compete. But if it's hardware, it would make sense to sell a package that would be affordable and that has already worked together in the past, right?
This is part of the reason is that nobody has the complete kit. They only have portions of it, and if they want to get their mission flown, they really got to work with other people to make the complete.
There's a few companies that are very close to providing the
complete
entire thing.
Right.
Are there any sustainable companies like other than SpaceX and Boeing? I understand the first roaming is probably get the government money to do it, but
Yeah.
other companies in between which are sustainable, get science solved and then put it out, return the results.
Yeah,
Or
so-
people, or they have do it as a side business.
So you saw this company that was called Blue Canyon Tech, right? and they're from Colorado, and they began I think they began making star trackers, and they're just cameras that you track stars and you know when you're pointing in space, right? And then from that, they branched out to make a flight computer power supply and a whole unit of that together with the wheels. And then now when I was there, I saw this neat thing. So they're offering pretty much the whole CubeSat without your payload on it. So you just pick whatever payload you want. You want like a large, camera, some type of science instrument, something to track ships, right? You want to offer
Do we have
communication.
enough revenue coming from?
So they've been growing, yeah. So they've been growing, and yes, they seem to be doing quite well. Planet Labs is the one that's selling this data. Like always, like data is where this money is at, right?
That is a very aggressive company. I met them for the first time at the conference, just like a passing, and I told them what we were doing, and within 20 minutes, they got a text, meet us here. And then they're like, okay, what are you doing? How far are you gonna go up? What's the cost, so on and so forth. And I thought I'd never hear from them again, but a day later, I got an email, it's like, we're in for this, if you can do this.
Was it Blue Canyon or Planet Labs?
Planet Labs. Yeah, they don't mess around. It was very surprising and actually nice.
I'm sorry, what is your background? Like, I'm not sure.
Sorry, I'm RocketStar. We're a propulsion company. We do aerospike engines and SmallSat launchers.
Maybe what we could do is like, starting with Luigi, we can kind of go around and we'll do like kind of we've already said a few things about ourselves, but I guess just for, structural sake. Yeah, just like say kind of like what you're doing briefly and like what your interest was in going to SmallSat, and then like talk about what you found about it from that perspective.
See, that's why Chris is here. He just brings it all back. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm just trying to fill Sidney's shoes. Big shoes to fill.
Big shoes, yeah.
Quite do it.
Yeah, they're wings.
Okay. Okay, so we're part of Ragnarok, and Ragnarok is this group that we formed this company. We formed it to compete in this NASA Lunar CubeQuest Challenge, which is that 3 CubeSats will get picked to be dropped off on the way to the moon. So therefore, we're taking our past experience working on this CubeSat back at Goddard, and then we're creating one to go to the moon. So that's our project. We're looking to deliver March 2017, and we're making most of our parts in-house, which is great. So that's why it was important for us to keep track of what's going on throughout this community, and we went to SmallSat. So it's Kyle and us working on it together. So that's our.
I'm part of RocketStar, and we initially started out trying to create a aerospike engine to replace the existing Bell engine technology. We've since pivoted to do not only that, but also create SmallSat launchers to get 150 kilos to low Earth orbit. So it was kind of imperative for us to be at this conference because this was the SmallSat conference to be at and kind of see the lay of the land, where people are, make connections, make potential clients, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So my name is Chris Cleveland. I may do something a little bit different. I'm more of a space enthusiast at this point, rather than a space entrepreneur. I've always loved space. Always had my head in the clouds, stars, whatever you will, one way or another. In the that just sounds a lot less appetizing for some reason, but. Obviously, like in recent years, it's become more apparent that there are actually real space entrepreneurs out there. Everybody from Elon Musk to the burgeoning SmallSat industry. I am currently an entrepreneur in the space of artificial intelligence software. My company has applications in the cybersecurity space. We try and find fraudulent web pages with computer vision and AI-based software. So what does this really have to do with the space industry at this time, or the SmallSat industry in particular? If you look at the SmallSat industry as a whole, it kind of breaks down broadly, I would say, between Earth-based communications and Earth observation. So you basically have small satellites that are enhancing communications one way or another. Like we had, Kepler here the other week, and they're doing kind of enhanced communications for small sats that are transmitting data down to Earth. They basically enable you to have better transmission down to ground stations. SpaceX is building a new SmallSat campus up in Seattle, so they're going to try to, get wireless internet on every spot on the planet. So that's kind of the communication side. On the other side of the SmallSat market, you have a lot more Earth observation. And kind of Luigi, put it very succinctly, it's all about really selling data. So you have all of this real-time imagery or hyperspectral imagery or SAR radar-based data that's coming down to ground. And it's almost like you can imagine Google Maps, but in real time. It's like you can see every square meter you can see at least many square meters of the Earth's surface in real time. So when you have all of this data, you have all kinds of people on the ground who want it for different applications. We're still figuring out exactly what those are, but there's about a list of at least 600 of them. Various purchasers who profit from understanding, for example, how many cars there are outside of a Macy's in Iowa, looking to see whether factories in China are in production, doing precision weather forecasting if you're trying to understand the monsoons, for example, in India, or if you're trying to understand agriculture. There's all kinds of different verticals and applications for that kind of data. So the question then becomes, how do you actually sell that data? Do you actually just take all of these terabytes of data that are being sent to ground per second and just send them to the customers, or do you try to send them intel that's built on top of that? So kind of my interest in the SmallSat Conference is understanding how the sort of software that I build, the sort of infrastructure that I have can be leveraged to create that intel that sits on top of all this data that's hitting the ground. Whether that's in oil and gas, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in commodities trading or any of these other applications. It's really just trying to get a sense of how this ground-based software can be utilized to create value for the end customers.
Yeah, and speaking of Earth observation, thanks for the explanation. We see the slide here from Sidney. It says 91% of the microsatellites launched in 2014 were for Earth observation. And he also shows that 2,750 satellites are wanting to launch by 2020, which currently, with the current launch providers, there's not enough capacity for that. So hopefully, RocketStar can supply some of that. But yeah, the trend definitely is right now Earth imaging, and the money's made selling the data. So this trend is very interesting. Speaking of the individual launches, that was so. Chris Craddock, when you said that, is it like so? Is it a launcher to do a single client launch?
It could be. I mean, you're talking to TriSat and Nanoracks, and they're like, yeah, we'll take the whole payload, 150 kilos. We're probably going to start on the smaller area. I was talking to Walter Holmans of Planetary Systems last Wednesday, who I met for the second time at SmallSat to discuss this very subject. We're actually building a SmallSat launcher that has a cargo bay door that not only opens but closes over a fairing and is then hermetically sealed so you can drop it in the ocean. So we've had discussions with a number of people, one of which is Planet Labs. Planet Labs said that if it's 150 kilos, we'll take the whole thing and we'll do a minimum of 10 rides. So that's kind of our goal at this point, is to get something that'll do exactly that and do it in a 6-day turnaround.
Is that a big contract?
Where do you launch from?
We're talking with Kennedy to do it there, although we'll probably have to do a J-step curve to get it up sun synchronous. But we may do it out of Vandenberg or Kodiak, I think is the name of it. Yeah, yeah, because they're hungry for business up there. Just hopefully the facilities are up to snuff.
Yeah, I was talking to the guy from Space Frontier Foundation, and they were saying launches for dedicated CubeSat, so for smaller payloads, that they're thinking that's going to be the trend. And I even saw a DARPA page designing a small rocket that launches from a jet, and you deploy a CubeSat, and then now you see Virgin Galactic going in that direction as well.
I can't say anything. I can't say enough about this. I mean, so many things. And you know how you measure conferences with, not just how many business cards you take home, but how many people actually contact you and you keep the momentum going. Tuesday, I met with a guy that I was just walking the floor. I was just talking to everybody. I didn't care if I had no idea what their booth did, I had no applications, what I'm doing. He was talking about me. He was one of them. He runs AA Microtech North America and a company called Atlas Communications, which was
Mike Perry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I saw him Wednesday.
Oh, you did? Yeah. He's a retired two-star general. And he was running Stratcom Northcom up until 2012, which runs about, I don't know, 450 ICBMs. And he was like, look, I'm here specifically, well, yeah, I'm here for Stratcom, for SATCOM, but I'm also here for you. I want to help you because the Air Force needs a quick turnaround booster that can get small sats to go up and support their network. So we're in the process of putting together, I think it's what, I always forget, I know the Inspire is going for NASA, but I think it's the FBO.gov. It's like, there's one due in 2 weeks, he's gonna put it together for it. Not to try and get the award, but to, yeah, get feedback, get the Air Force to know this is what we're doing, and then start doing the process of calling up all the buddies who are four-star generals and saying, hey, you need to do this. So that came from SmallSat, and it came from just networking and saying, hi, most of these guys that are there want to collaborate, want to do something together, unless, unless, in my case, unless you're Rocket Lab or Firefly. Firefly actually was pretty nice about it. They were like, wait a minute, you're competing with us? I'm like, no. But Maureen, very graciously, like, all right, let's see how we can do things together. And we've been talking by email ever since, and she wants to come to the launch that we're doing out of Kennedy, which I'm being told we're going through safety checks. We just got official NASA approval, but now we have to go through ordnance checks and everything else before we can get a hard launch date.
Cool. Yeah, let us know because we want to do like a launch party thing.
With the fact that we're coming close to the holidays and everybody's gonna start evaporating. And,
Next month.
yeah, they're gonna have a mandatory vacation.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, so we're thinking if we can get a hard date somewhere in January, great. If it's February, great. If it's March, great. I don't care. I'm just trying to get it from KSC to understand their process, get something launched from there, and then leverage that to do the next step, which is.
Where are you building your rockets?
There's a contractor down in Oviedo that is doing it for
Is
us.
that Florida?
Yes, excuse me. Yeah. I didn't know about it either until they told me about it. Yeah, he's doing it out of his machine shop. But the next one, the bigger one, will have to be done on campus at KSC. Micro Aerospace Solutions is probably going to do it there and building and storing.
So are they just producing the entire rest of the space, the entire rest of the rocket, and you're providing the engine?
Trailblazer, our subcontract, to do the whole thing to our specification. Yeah. We actually 3D printed the nozzle, which was fun, out of titanium.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big is that?
I think it's about 4 inches diameter.
Did you end up firing it?
Yeah, we got a hot fire, and that was a fun video. It's up on Facebook. I wish I could have provided it here, but
That's
check
cool.
it out. Yeah, and they actually did like a variable firing, so they can show the plume as it develops and goes back in.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it was a good day.
Pretty exhaustive.
Oh yeah.
Which one are you again?
RocketStar.
No.
I don't know if they changed it. They said they were gonna change it, and I think they changed it the day of. No, Rocket Lab.
No, you're not paying.
Did you guys?
There we go. I'm on the watch list. Yay.
I wanted to ask if either of you found an industry at SmallSat, like kind of a service provider, a parts provider, that you didn't realize existed. Like, you found somebody who's making networking software or networking hardware for space systems, or making a certain kind of material for engines, making certain kinds of thrusters. It's just really amazing, like how you find there are so many different players that go into, whether it's launch or making satellites or doing micropropulsion. There's so many different players that make small parts in these different verticals. Did you guys find any companies that are particularly interesting?
Yeah,
Pass it on to
It's
you.
tough.
you probably have to keep secrets, but
No, keep secrets.
Well, you said you talked to everybody.
yeah, I met Wes Failer there for the second time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
He's a cool dude. And we actually sat down and started talking about, the fusion rocket that we want to eventually make. And he's like, no, we should call it a plasma rocket. And then he proceeded to do on the back of a napkin, the best design for a plasma rocket I've ever seen. I mean, the guy's a certified genius, but he acts like anybody but a weird. And we're sitting, but it's even funnier, like, we're at lunch under the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Yeah, so we're both competing, that's fine.
Right, yeah. Putting back of a napkin at lunch, and everybody's gone, we're still talking, except this one guy who we've never seen before that's on his computer typing furiously. Should we stop talking about this?
Oh, yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah.
You just started typing, and then when we stopped talking,
He's like,
stopped
stop.
typing. It's like-
Well, he's a really bad spy.
Maybe that's why he's the best spy, because people think he's a bad spy.
He's just too obvious about it.
Yeah, there was a Swedish space company, affiliate company that offers this green monoprop engine.
This is Pizza Rama's company.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's the same exact company or it's just one of their affiliates, right? But they offer this fairly safe chemical engine that's for CubeSats or for SmallSats. And I think they've already sold some to Skybox. And so it's a green monopropellant, means that it's a normal monopropellant, right? But it's green, meaning that it's safe to handle. You don't have to wear some type of hazmat suit to actually, fill it into the spacecraft. So that's if you use hydrazine. Hydrazine is like terribly bad for you. You can die. Yeah, it's just you might die. The point is not to die, right?
That's true. We have to live forever.
Yes.
I think that was one of the Swedish space company's products.
Yeah.
And I was surprised, 'cause I thought that they were just, ground-based communications.
Yeah, no, the shop, right?
I also saw some
You had some-
radio.
There's the Rainbow SmallSat Express by the Swedish Space Corporation. Is that the same thing?
I don't realize, is that like an alternate name for them?
That actually reminded me of something.
It is SSC, but it's not Rainbow SmallSat.
Oh, I think that's the name of the product. Maybe. The name of its launcher specifically for small sats, maybe? Because SSC is doing the plane thing, right?
So let me just talk to that slide for a second. I met Orbital ATK's head of mission development. Super great guy. I keep forgetting his name, but I remember hanging out with him.
Yeah, they're based out of Colorado, right?
Is it Colorado or is it out in
Everywhere.
Virginia?
They have a couple of locations. Maybe because I know there is they do orbital planning, right? Or they do mission planning.
Mission planning, yeah. Is this
Which company?
Orbital.
Orbital ATK.
Yeah.
They
That counts on curiosity.
yeah.
But they,
It could be. I'm not sure. They
It's
do
a
more.
large envelope of things that they do, but
Yeah.
right. So it was just so cool, and then I'm just walking out from one of the conferences, and he's sitting there, and he looks at me, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're RocketStar." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You are."
Just you.
Celebrity now.
Just you.
And he's like, "You're making a rocket, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, how big is it? When is it coming out?" I tell him, he's like, "What's the name?" And I'm just like, "The Chopper." He's like, the Chopper. I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, "I'm standing with that name," even though I just came up with it 3 seconds ago. And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna redo my talk tomorrow. I'm gonna put you in it." I'm like, "That'd be amazing. Thank you." And got his card, and there we are.
Put the chop.
He didn't want to, be fined for using Schwarzenegger's license.
He's got a lot of licenses.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about this unreasonable rocket.
Where is that? Is that at the bottom?
So you guys are familiar with Super Stripey and the launch they just had?
Yes.
Okay.
Big fail.
Right.
The one in Hawaii.
Right. So I met 2 people there at SmallSat that worked on Super Stripey. One of them did the bearings and the launch systems for it. And, it was, I'm just pointing this out because the connections you make at this place are very useful from an inside perspective. And, it helped us understand what we have to do and what we should not.
Was
absolutely not.
there a reason for failure? Did you figure that out?
There was issues with the older tech trying to be jammed up with newer tech. And in addition,
Couplers didn't fit.
could be something as stupid as that, but it just didn't communicate right when it was trying to pitch itself and itself.
It went pretty far. It was going straight,
Yep.
straight, and
And all of a
then
sudden, what happened?
Yeah.
Made a left.
it stopped guiding. It
It
stopped.
saw a duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of connections I'm still chasing down. I mean, the reason why I was late today, I was in Denver, talking with United Launch Alliance about making solid boosters for them. And met them at the conference. So, Mike Carey was Tuesday, Walter was last week, and, I've got a few other coming up.
So it seems like this SmallSat conference was really enriching for networking. Is it open to students who were?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I met the hardest beer drinking bunch of students I've ever met at this place. And I can't keep in touch with them.
And students get a discount.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
These guys all drove in from Louisiana, like in one car, and they were hilarious.
Yeah.
I took advantage of that student discount.
On your last trip today? I mean,
When I went to the conference,
You're young enough looking that you can pass for it.
right.
even with this
Even
massive
with
beer,
that late-
which I didn't have at the time.
Yeah, so student ID.
I still had my student email, so when I signed up, I was good to go. But there were a lot of student presentations. So like Luigi was saying, the weekend workshops, were the workshops like the same as the presentations that we saw? Because
They were much more technical. and they were
during the
more
during the weekend. They're more tech, yeah. Well, there were presentations that we saw on the first weekend when we arrived, and there are also presentations throughout the conference.
Yeah, a lot of student presentations.
A lot of them were graduate students, or actually, I was amazed at how many undergraduates there were presenting SmallSat projects, or even just like space projects. Like, you were doing this as an undergraduate, like that's just insane. Like, I didn't even know what a SmallSat was in undergrad, when I was an undergrad.
It was surprising because normally with undergrads and grads, you assume their ability to present is going to be very dry and very technical, and they're not going to understand how to present on a stage. But these guys are good. They understand about hand waving, about moving the right way, about modulating their voice, about moving things around. So, yeah,
I was really impressed.
Yeah.
That's the YouTube generation, that's why.
I've had lots of practice.
And it's an advisor.
Yeah. But I guess I was partially envious to like see how aware these undergrads were. Like, some of them were sophomores and juniors. They were really aware that there's a burgeoning space industry, and that they actually have a shot at making a dent in it. There was an MIT team in particular, and they're presenting about making a Mars capsule. And it was this project to design a mission to send a capsule to Mars. And I think it was just like an encyclopedia that they wanted to bury underground under the Martian surface. Am I getting this right? I forget.
Yeah, that's what
I just remember it was
They're
very.
just gonna shoot for the Mars.
Yeah, it's actually been funded, and now they're working on
They've
launch.
got a lot of funding. They're collaborating with like 6 other universities,
Yeah.
6 other aerospace departments.
Sure, it's not a Bible instead of a second.
I'm sure it's not time capsule.
I think
So
it's
the time capsule
yeah.
is time capsule one, because I know there's another project that wants to
Buried
bury
it.
it.
Right.
It's doing it on the moon, but these guys,
Okay.
I think there's like a big emphasis on it being an academic, like it's supposed to catalyze academic institutions, aerospace programs to exploration, as opposed to being a commercial mission. But it's getting funding, it's getting all kinds of, attracting all kinds of attention.
Was MIT one of the projects? Because they're definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
The team that was presenting was a group of MIT students,
Yes.
undergraduates.
Yes, that's a time capsule thing. And the time capsule is going to think about it, you put things in time capsule, somebody in the future opens it up, and they're talking thousands of years.
Like after we blow ourselves up.
Right.
It's like there were humans here.
The problem I have is that what technology do you get that has a 1,000-year warranty? I'm confused about that.
Yeah.
So I'm getting digital technology that has a 1,000-year warranty, no such thing.
So I went to space to
So there's a little bit of a showman biz type sort of thing. We won't
It's a
talk
time
about this.
capsule. It's,
What do
Well,
you
time
mean by
capsule, back in the old days, we opened up a book.
Yeah.
This is still digital.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, they just want to do it. I don't think. It's
I think
a thing.
they're trying, exactly. I mean,
They
maybe.
just want to hit Mars.
No, they're.
We'll
trying to get
check back in
funding.
1,000 years and we'll grade their project
Exactly,
then.
right. But they're selling the time capsule. That's the crowdfunding part of it, where the money comes from. They sell space in their time capsule.
They sell the show, they don't sell the thing.
Yeah, that,
They sell it.
the show. It's the show.
No, that's not what they're offering. They're not offering a show. They're offering You put your picture, your cat.
Yeah, but it's about the experiencing it. It's not about the actual thing when you get up there. Nobody even open about. Nobody cares about it.
Well, that's not what they're saying.
No, they
Oh,
say-
no, that's-
exactly.
Yeah, that's the, we have to make this digestible for mass audience, otherwise we won't get mass dollars. So a time capsule is something we all
Everybody
relate
knows,
to.
yes, I know, but it's just-
But their intent is to hit mark.
Yes, of course.
Question
More
about
than one. I know one. Definitely gonna put a time capsule.
One of the things we were just talking about, Luigi and I, is a guy we met there, Ryan Holmes. who-
Oh, yeah, NewSpace VR.
Yeah, and that was from a networking perspective, it was great because he knew a lot of people, he knew a lot of people, but from a experience standpoint, just to be at, that conference and put on those goggles and actually experience a launch, that was a lot of fun.
From which perspective?
Sorry?
From which perspective?
Well, they have a 360 camera that they put next to, it was in Melbourne when the last SpaceX thing, I actually got to watch the SpaceX rocket explode. And you put on the Space VR and you can turn all the way around and look all the way around and see all the people next to you. You can hear that.
Oh, you're from outside, not from inside.
Right, yeah. And, it was so funny because people would just be like this, and nobody's seeing what's actually going on except what they have on their head. And I'm really happy that Kickstarter happened. Because I thought maybe they weren't gonna make it because they did one and then it didn't seem to be getting traction. They did another and it worked. Because they're shooting for the overview effect.
Yeah, that's like where you see the rim of the Earth, and then you get the special psychological effect. You feel like you owe it to your planet to just be kinder, nicer, appreciate life more.
Because they're gonna put this thing in the cupola of the ISS and have real-time access to the International Space Station.
Yeah, so the idea is that they have this floating cube that has cameras set up, and they film, and they have different cameras filming, so you get this virtual reality effect. And in the future, you'll have this Netflix service that you'll wear these goggles, and you can see different, VR episodes of different things. Like you can see them gardening, growing crops, plants, right? You can see them traveling throughout the space station. When they do these EVAs and they go outside, you'd be a part of that. Right? So that's pretty cool. And I had backed them, I'm pretty proud. And I'm really happy to see that they were able to get funded because I think it was 2 or 3 days short and they weren't fully funded yet.
How much are we looking for?
Huh?
How much are we looking for?
They were like 20K short.
They were 20K short, and then
Like
the last
2 days.
minute, it just worked out. But there's a certain formula to doing these Kickstarters, and because obviously that's the one that has the biggest exposure. But if you don't meet the goal, then you don't get the money, right? And that's what happened to them the first time. So it's a good example to see how they made it on the second attempt, and you can kind of see what's important, which is this whole marketing aspect, right? You have this constant contact, get your friend involved, your friend's friend. Oh, look, I'm on TV, I'm on this channel, I'm on this article. Here's a snippet, we're going to upgrade, we're going to offer this. Thanks so much. And it's just constant feeding of this movement. And
I guess it's also good to have $20,000 in the bank, just in case, if you want to get $500,000, like, we don't mind putting 20 grand.
Right.
They also had some good advisors. They had Ryan Garrett, Owen Garrett, I forgot his first name, Rich Garrett.
Yeah, it was the son of the other. So they were 2 astronauts, right? The father and son. They were both astronauts, and then you had Jeff from Ragnarok. Sean
Jeffrey Manbar, the CEO of Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And they actually were providing the lift.
Yeah.
So if they can make it to 100 grand. Originally it was like $250,000, and then they went back to
Yes,
Ragnarok.
they found a way to scale this down.
Yeah.
So you get the minimum viable product, which is like a term. You hear that bounced around all the time.
What's the term?
Minimum viable product.
MVP.
Think Apple.
No,
Yes.
I think duct tape.
Yeah.
That's a better one.
It's much closer to the MVP, what the MVP will look like.
Yeah. I'm not sure, maybe there was like a much more thorough thought there.
No, it's just the thought that, Apple, in the early days, and Google as well, is just like, there doesn't work yet, get it out there because then you can see what the public.
Well,
likes
an
and
example would be
dislikes.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that assumes that the person making the product actually says, oh, well, so you don't like it, I'll change it. No, that's not Microsoft.
Like,
Change
wait,
the
that was a
customer
mistake.
immediately.
Change the customer.
Yes.
The customer knows what they want, but we will tell them what they want. Okay.
There's two rules at Microsoft. I worked with Microsoft for decades. And the first rule is the customer is always wrong. First rule, rule number one. Rule number two is if the customer is actually right, see immediately rule number one.
Yeah, I just got SharePoint working again on my own because the IT.
Oh, man, I spent a week with those IT people and they couldn't fix it. Luigi fixed it.
Same thing with Outlook on the phone. I fixed that myself too.
Wait, why do you use Outlook on the phone? That sounds
and-
horrible. It sounds horrible.
Yeah, but I got kind of, because they make it affordable to get in, but then it's like every add-on costs more and more money. So we got stuck.
More
with
affordable than
using
Gmail?
Office 365.
Yeah, my Google Sheets are all.
It's like if you buy the Office 365 Business, then it's pretty cheap, so you also use it for email and SharePoint.
And then they let you install Office on all your PC.
But if you have terminal support on the Android phones, so. Oh, well.
But do you have great support on Windows Phone?
Do they even sell Windows phones anymore?
That's
Somewhere.
What is a Windows Phone?
Oh, well.
Sure. It's hard to find.
It's like you take a laptop.
Yeah. and-
One of the other great things about the conference was you really got a chance to look people in the eye and see what they're made of. And, you know,
Ramen. Coffee.
yeah. One of the, I mean, meeting Maureen Gannon and seeing, okay, yeah, these guys are no joke, and, you know, they're actually smart business people, like they actually want to do the right thing, was interesting. And then meeting Peter Beck and realizing he's a brilliant person, a nice guy, we had no idea what the hell he's there. That was another fun thing. They had it's interesting, Firefly had the better product layout, but they had no booth. And then Rocket Lab had this great booth with this, you know, beautiful engine and, you know, showing their burn test, but the girl there was just total biz dev. She didn't know anything about the product, had no idea what to talk about. So, and then the FedEx guys, those guys are fun.
Yeah.
Oh, they had a booth, I remember.
They will, yeah, so
FedEx.
what FedEx will do is for around $1,000, they will ship your CubeSat. So once it's complete, you have to ship it to this launch site, like Kennedy, right? Then you'll pay them and then they'll take it in this fancy,
One truck.
like, air ride truck.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing they carry, and it's a clean truck. It's pretty.
Not clean room, it's just been mopped, right?
Yes.
They should have represented themselves as a
Five
Fun
business day
Express.
guaranteed.
Now, do you think the whole conference was industry focused? Because when I went there in 2010, it was very much student focused.
Mhm.
There were, so I noticed there's a lot of students, in the balance of students, in military, and I guess NASA, if you
I
include.
mean, yeah,
it.
military was there when I was there.
They kind of stuck
I mean, the whole thing was kicked off by this Air Force general, who just made a lot of remarks about what the kind of government market was like in general, which I thought was very interesting. But yeah, they're kind I can't really comment on how it's changed. Clearly, it's a lot bigger than it used to be. Overall, it probably is a lot more commercially focused than it used to be.
Yeah.
But there's definitely
Or are you just ignoring the students? 'Cause they're less
the students had some cool talks.
Yeah, so what you don't notice is that whatever these students work on, companies will come in and then have to license that. They'll hire the students to license the IP made from this college, and then they create this partnership if it didn't exist already. So BCT, the Blue Canyon Group, does that.
What if they do it the other way? They do the license, so they let the student in and then just hire them instead.
Well, you can then license it without the student. You can just do that.
How do
Yeah.
you feel about that? Do you
Yeah, it's
think-
just normal. Yeah. And it's great because you can continue, so then they have this background in it, if you're able to get the student or you get the professor, and then you create this R&D pipeline. So it works both ways. So then you can take advantage of these nonprofit academic launches, right? And then test your parts out, and then vice versa. You can then use parts that have flight heritage for free to show your next tech demo or something.
I think it's funny because that's how very large companies operate. They're always purchasing startups who have a proven product. But small companies don't work that way, especially like you can, if everything's in a research paper, you can just do it yourself in a year if you have like 3 engineers full time. So it's kind of
All you need is
different,
yeah.
interesting.
Along that line, did you see any big internet tech companies there, maybe looking for companies to purchase for talent acquisitions, or was Google or Facebook, was there any presence from them?
No.
Skybox was there,
Skybox was there as Google.
and then they got bought out by Google last year. And they talked about their whole intern program. So that was neat. And then they also mentioned their whole ride, the rough ride to get there. So that was cool to hear that.
We didn't see, as far as I know, anybody walking the space from any of said companies,
Yeah.
unless they were just lying, so we wouldn't know that they were there.
So this year after that, I went to Space 2.0. And it's more for startups and for VCs and angel investors. So it is somewhat the equivalent, not the same amount of people, but it would be the equivalent because there you are, you're meeting someone from a certain fund, you can just talk to them, right? And you can tell them what you're trying to do and where you're going and whatnot, and just talk about your group. And you can then, swap numbers, get emails, and it's a good point of contact, right? Because sometimes you don't really have that. You have to just like try and do it over email. And trying to find, VC or angel investor is kind of like online dating. There's just so many prospects. You have to find a way to cancel. You have to just find a way to not fund this company.
If
So-
only it was like that. But
Yeah.
It's like online
Well,
dating
success
when
online
they just hide the terminal.
So yeah, actually what I did is when I was there at Space 2.0, what I was doing is I wouldn't mention that I have a pitch. I'm just mentioning what I'm doing. And then when we create this business model, then I like to speak to them again. And in that sense, they can bring down their guard and you can just kind of talk to them and see what do they think, where this market's going, what are they trying to invest in. And you always see the same thing. You want the next $1 billion company, data-based and whatnot. But how do you know it's going to be the next $1 billion company?
Why not?
So it's like if you,
the double-digit $1 billion company.
Sure.
so it's
I was
like,
thinking more trillion, but okay.
All right.
VCs, like if you want to ask for money, you ask for advice. If you want advice, you ask for money.
Exactly right. Yes.
Well,
It's the
so
quickest way to chase away somebody with money and say, hey, I want you to invest.
right. Yeah. So the thing is that you have these angel investors and VCs who have they have a whole different way of looking at this market. They look at what other companies have been funded and what's this trend moving forward, right? Meanwhile, yourself, if you're the engineer, you're like, all right, I see what's currently possible to do, what's going to happen soon, and how do you monetize it. And then you build this bridge, and then building that bridge is how it's just like dating. You try to say, okay, well, this is what we think we're worth, and this is what we need. The other side's like, how do you know that's what you're worth, what you're gonna sell, and like, who do you think you are, pretty much, right? And it's just like that. So.
It's getting tougher because it's getting frothier, not in our side of the angel side, but more of like, the apps and some of the more Silicon Valley based stuff. So people are starting to throttle back a little bit. It's not that noticeable, but
Space wise or in general?
in general. Yeah, but those people who are not in space do affect the people that are in space. Everybody talks to each other because they're all professional investors, even though they may not invest in the space side.
Yeah, actually, an issue like we ran into is that, like, because for software, like you write it once and you just distribute it on some distribution platform that already exists, and like you can sell the same thing a million times. Like you do space, you're doing hardware mostly. Like even if you're selling data, you have to build the hardware. And even though CubeSats bring down this initial cost from like, you look at like in the 90s, a space startup was billions of dollars at least, or multi-billion-dollar startup. And now it's like, you can do it with this, you purchase IP from some university, some business guy does that and hires a team. But still, like, there is this barrier to get past where, because you're selling hardware, it's not going to explode within 2 years, like selling an app on the iPhone. Like, you're not selling Farmville.
Yes, so there's one thing about hardware is if you have the top of the line hardware and you haven't flown it, it's just a risk, right? You have this TRL system, which is 1 through 9.
What does TRL stand for?
Technology readiness level. Thank you. Thanks. I got quiz today. I feel good. All right. So as far as you can get on the ground, it's pretty much up to 6 without being integrated onto any rocket. Once you're in space, if you're the main purpose of the mission, and you can work correctly, then that part is now TRL 9. Then that's the first mission. You keep sending these out and they keep working correctly and well, then you have this heritage, which they call the flight heritage. It's just like a term they just throw out there, ridiculous. The reason why I say that it is sort of, somewhat in that fashion is because you're just trying to keep up, right? And if you're now the hottest thing, right? You're the hottest thing since, what is it? Sliced bread. Because they used to be like bag bread.
Well, but it has to be a different thing.
Bag bread is pretty cool too.
Bread is consumable. It cannot be TRL 9.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway, so if you're the hottest thing right now, right? It took you time to get the flight, which is like 6 to 9 months, and then to create the hardware, which could be a year and a half. So you're looking at between 2 to 3 years to get this thing from like napkin to space, right? Which is fast. I mean, that's pretty fast itself. But that means it's fast for other people as well. So you have to stay ahead of the curve and keep trying to improve your product or offer something new. And that means that then you have to keep trying to then innovate or try to improve what you currently have. And it's a race. If you charge too much, NASA will try and make it, right? Other people will try and make it. If you, charge too little, you might just, end up flooding the market, and that'd be great, right? But then what about your margins, right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, investors are looking at it like, all right, so minimum viable product comes out at the very least 2 years. And when you get to return on equity or profitability, you're talking 3 to 5 years. That's not a terrible long time to wait, but it's still long. So
right.
How do modifications to your hardware affect the TRL?
So it depends. There's like a gray area.
Yeah, depends on what you convince people. If you're like, hey, look, we just switched out this thing. Yeah.
Pay no attention to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it goes from 9 to 8. Maybe if it's a major change,
just
back down to 6.
So they'll just like make up like, oh, we'll duck you.
No, yeah, you just have to convince people what you think it is. Yeah.
You think it would like start over, or it would say the same? But
no, it's all about risk management. So like so people in aerospace are interested in flight heritage because they don't want if any subsystem fails, their entire thing fails.
Right.
So you don't want to be the one to cause that failure.
Sure.
So that's why they care about flight heritage. But if you can convince them that with the modifications you made, you're not going to cause failure, then it's all, you can do like a lot of risk analysis.
See, but that's still, this very nice thing is you can take these risks with these CubeSats because they're cheap,
the cost,
right?
Yeah.
As long as they comply with whatever payload, with whatever shipment
Secondary payload requirements.
that that they're not explosive,
Right.
that the batteries won't melt.
Would you say things are like, you talked about a rocket that just blew up.
Yeah,
And then there was other ones, and I mean, is there a sort of a failure thing happening right now?
I was talking to Walter about that at Planetary Systems.
Because it's coming from different companies. you
Yeah,
know?
he's starting to think that there is a systemic issue in aerospace, and it's not just a fluke anymore.
Really, there's some unidentified.
No, he believes that they're just not doing their critical design reviews well enough. They're not doing internal design structures, doing enough problem solving before they get it off the drawing table. So
People that are young in the industry.
what's that?
People that are just young in the industry.
That's where primarily it is, but some of the older ones too. You got Aerojet Rocketdyne's
Right.
with Orbital's Rocketdyne. That was supposedly the cause.
Right.
And they've been around since what, the 60s?
Sure.
So, but yeah, there seems to be like a lackadaisical effect going on where people are just.
Is it a
Yeah,
rush
well,
to launch or?
Or minimum work for maximum profit sort of thing.
I see.
Well, it's probably like more launches are happening, so you're seeing more failures.
But if you look at percentage.
Right? Are the rates of failures changing substantially?
They're starting to. It's still kind of like a blip in the graph right now.
but it's looking towards the trend. So, the big one that everybody's looking at next is SpaceX's flight in December.
Right.
That has a nice flight. Everybody's going to breathe easy, and I think that'll translate into the overall architecture.
But one of the three failures was the Progress, right?
What's that?
Well, yeah, one of the three failures of we had an extremely unusual case of a black swan incident, where we had three separate companies totally isolated, having three simultaneous failures.
Before with Superstripey, you had
Yes.
Virgin Galactic, you had Orbital, you had SpaceX, and now Superstripey.
It wasn't a Heritage though. Superstriper was sort of
slapped together.
Yeah, but the Progress has flown already, so that's already broken the curse, so to speak.
You see the impact in a lot of the presentations. I mean, I saw a lot of research projects. I think 3 separate research projects that had a slide of orbital exploding, like, oh, and then that happened. So now we got pushed back. It was great. It was a beautiful slide.
It's very pretty.
Everybody remember
a lot of projects got pushed
the
on.
Robocop from the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember the whole aerospace company, OCP? And they were kind of just like, yeah, whatever, we're just trying to put out a profit margin and bring that robot in that kills everybody.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the situation we're in right now. Somebody just come in and be like, hey, we'll be done in 90 days. We'll put up something that's a minimum viable product with a cop that'll be, so it's an opportunity, but I definitely don't hope that it continues like this. It's going to be problematic for everyone, because then the FAA is going to change rules, and people are going to come in and be like, all right, no more. It's just government. That's it.
There's this company that just got funded that has, it's where they don't carry, I think, the oxidizer on board. They just carry the fuel. And then,
Escape dynamics, right?
Escape, yeah. So then you just fire this laser, or I think it's microwave, right, signals, and then you heat up the fuel enough that it just combusts. So you don't need to have the oxidizer, so you don't have this issue with handling or plumbing. That's like, I don't know if that's the reason why,
Mazer,
No,
what could possibly go wrong?
It's a really good idea.
No, nothing at all. So 47 in the beam, not a problem of 500 people dead, never happened.
But that was the funny thing, like, I was talking to ULA about it. I for one believe in that structure. I think that's eventually how you're gonna get like kind of the railroad to space.
So there's no oxygen?
No oxygen, just superheat the hydrogen. So your weight, your mass fractions change significantly.
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah, if you're gonna use ground-based microwaves, why don't you just burn a hole for the atmosphere so you don't have to worry about any.
That's the atmosphere sucked out, you go with it.
actually, you're lying. I mean, you're just kidding about that. But when I was doing my undergrad, my one professor was actually doing that study where you use a laser and you shoot it in front of, let's say, like it's like a aircraft in front, and you can change the actual point that makes
super
Right.
accurate. Yeah.
That was
What
like,
gust of
The nose
wind.
of the aircraft?
so it's not an actual physical part of the aircraft, but it shoots a laser that then starts to heat up in front of the aircraft.
Right,
And
and reduces
then
drag.
the actual drag, yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
That was really neat.
Going back to escape dynamics, I've been talking for a while with Letitia Garrett, and we've been going back and forth about JVing about a linear aerospike for their shuttlecraft. So, but that won't supposedly fly until the 2020s, because their big thing is getting a safe microwave generator to shoot into the sky, which they think they've cracked, where it's a low density microwave and there's like 17 of them that all point in one area. They won't
What
work.
about global warming?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in order to run something like that, you need like
It's not really- it's not
gigawatts
real
of power.
concern.
Gigawatts?
Yeah.
So I was curious, like maybe this like increased launch failure is due to like in the last 10 years, the aerospace industry is accepting more risk than they traditionally did.
But those are.
And now they're paying for it.
But those are literally TRL-9 systems that were exploding.
Yeah, but it's all about like checkup before launch, and they always scrub launches.
Russians don't have
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah, but weather can kill it. It's true. It's volatile.
I think the industry is just acceptive of a certain standard, and they won't push farther than that, because it's really expensive to find a better solution. Because I was talking with a couple people about creating a single stager that'll fall in the ocean. They're like, you don't want to do that. I'm like, why? Because the salt water gets in everything. And they were describing how one injection system, like a little piece of salt water got up there and caused a hole, and when they refurbished and launched it again, there was flames coming out of one side and it exploded. But the answer to that, the ultimate answer to fixing something like that is to use
Stainless?
no, close, aluminum 5020 or something like that, and then
What were they using before?
Inconel or something.
Yeah.
But those are exorbitantly expensive, and these companies only get paid by government contracts for a one and done, and it's very thin profit margins. I mean, it's the lowest bid
Sure.
gets the thing. So that's what happens when you don't pay for performance.
What about Musk's the first stage lands? I have no faith in that. Is that something solvable? Is he having success? I haven't heard much lately. I heard he has a lot of failure.
It's effectively catching a bullet on a needle floating in a haystack.
Well, I always look at it as like it's too weather dependent. It's like it's trying to land itself, and if the wind blows funny, you're done.
Yeah, it's surprisingly, wind does have a huge factor because it's tough to throttle effectively just from a gust of wind.
Did you see the concept? I think it's Airbus, right? So that the actual part at the bottom that holds the engine has wings, and then it'll land.
But when that sounds,
Wait, that's Lucky Martin.
that sounds doable.
Lucky Martin, yeah.
There's
Well,
no parachute.
Well, that's only part
That's
of it.
the bulk of it,
That's
yeah.
a part of it. What's really great about companies like RocketStar is that there's been this non-Moore's law of launch of business for like the last 20 or 30 years. And Moore's law being that the processors get better and better every year with like a doubling of performance every 16 or 12 months, something like that.
You mean it's less than or more?
There's been no
Oh,
zero.
Zero.
In other words, there's been subtle, tiny little improvements in the launch of business, but it's still the same thing. We build this super expensive thing by hand. We put expensive avionics that we built by hand, and then we load it up with fuel, launch it, and the satellite, the payload, which has been improving with Moore's law, goes into space, and then we throw away the rocket.
Yeah.
And RocketStar just says, hey, how about if we don't throw away the rocket? Maybe we can save some money. Clearly. Now, so it's same thing with Eon, and he's actually gotten very close. He's actually landed on the barge, but at a high velocity.
Yep.
Okay, which is it's called a crash, right? Exactly. But the idea of reusability is what's going to drive low cost, and low cost is going to do what to satellite launches? Is going to make it less expensive. Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the investment.
So
you get a 100x cost improvement.
That was the plan using the space shuttle, which was to keep landing, refuel, and go.
That was an elephant designed by committee. In other words, it was originally designed was supposed to be 3 times bigger than it was to make it economical, but because that cost like 9 times more money and they didn't have a budget. But let me step back. Over the this week, Tuesday, Thursday, SatCon took place in New York City at Javits. SatCon is a place where a bunch of people get together in the communications business, and the manufacturers go there. Specifically, Vulcan Aerospace was there. They're the Stratolaunch people, the people who built the big airplane, put a rocket on it, and they claim that they're going to have a dramatic price announcement very soon. Okay.
Oh.
They have a launch announcement yet?
For what size?
Price announcement, just like
no launch
announcement, right? The price announcement comes first. So this is an example of the competition of companies like RocketStar changing disruptive change. Is that the word?
Yeah, my favorite is Rocket Lab. Great people. I love what they're doing. I love that they're bringing down the cost of access to space. Their last launch was 2009, but they have deposits going out to 2019, and they keep telling me they're going to launch. And that was this year. Now it's going to be next year. And then,
I saw the website where it's getting full.
Yeah.
Like the different payloads are starting to fill
How are they
up.
doing that? They've never launched.
All right, well.
Guys, I gotta head out.
All right.
It was great talking to you all.
Yeah.
I'm Nick. Nice to meet everybody.
So yeah, if you have any other questions, just in general, or no, if you have money, you have funds.
Wait. That means you need advice. That's what you want.
So what was the usability model that you guys wrote?
Just a basic single stage using an aerospike engine. We just have to have enough fuel to get all the way up there and make it light enough that mass fraction and everything works out. Right now, we're launching a 5-footer. That'll be, supposedly it was gonna be this week or next, but with the holidays and everything, probably looking like early next year. Get some data above the speed of sound, which would be nice. That'll be a 20-footer, probably mid next year. That'll be suborbital. We might even put like a CubeSat in there, just to payload it. And when it comes down, it's not gonna pop out. It'll just be like, hey, it didn't break when we sent it up.
Hey, you know, like, there's a lot of people who want to do science. Like, if you publicize what you're doing, you can find someone who wants to put their science in your rocket.
Even if they could lose, even if they could lose the whole thing, that's okay? with
Yeah,
it?
like,
Okay.
people, yeah.
Because you get the
So
data.
many,
Oh,
yeah.
down, okay, yeah.
So many universities, like, so many people doing that.
Yeah, we were gonna aggressively go after that after this launch, but, you know, I'll talk to you guys further about when we get more of that, to listen to the right people. See, networking, that's what this is all about. But yeah, it was so funny talking to ULA, and they're like trying to pitch me about their Vulcan. I'm like, what? Instead of dropping the ocean, just catch it with a helicopter.
Yeah.
That's
Are
the
you
fun.
insane?
No, that's literally, that's what they're, it's totally Rube Goldberg, and and they feel really bad because, you know, SpaceX is doing this thing of landing.
They don't feel bad. They're like, no, this is the solution.
Right, that's what they claim. And they're offering, so I look at their, from a business perspective, a modeling perspective, they're offering only 50% more than SpaceX. They can give you a rocket 5 years from now, and they're telling you the price is literally 150% more. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I want to launch maybe like in 3 years. I guess I still have to go with SpaceX or with you guys if you have to get a big enough payload.
Yeah.
But even if 5 years from now, why would I go with you, Mr. Vulcan? Well, because we're experienced, but this rocket is like totally brand new TRL 0. Why would I go with that when I have a 5-year history with SpaceX? I don't understand the business.
Well, just to clarify, they just celebrated their 100th launch with no failure.
Yes,
And that's across a couple of different rockets. You know, different deltas, different this, different that.
yeah,
So that's, I mean, you're right, it is a brand new product, it's a brand new design.
Yep.
So problems may or probably will happen. But there is some confidence in the fact that they can figure it out.
we're banking on their reputation, not on their technology.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and their culture.
And
well,
culture.
well, careful, because the culture for a company that's doing it the new way is completely different than the culture for a company that was doing it cost plus, government pays for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? So you can
No.
kind of tell them like there's firm fixed price,
Right. Yeah.
which is like you're forced to do it with whatever they give you, and that's it, right? And there's cost plus where you can try to negotiate more additions.
But the thing is that no matter what the cost was to make it happen, it's okay, so we'll inspect 5 times, we'll do x-rays of every single nut and bolt that's going into this, and we'll keep records of everything that we do. Everything will have a serial number, including every nut and bolt. We'll know what factory it came from and what its history is. And you can imagine the paperwork and the army, literal army of office staff, that you highly paid office staff that you have to make all this happen.
So you're saying that culture is more a product of the cost?
No, it drives the cost, but then that results in 0 failures in 105 launches.
Right.
Okay. Now,
They're more of taking the safest routes possible that has worked all the time.
Sure.
Than come up with something new that has an 80% chance of working, but it's still that 20% envelope that. I mean,
Well, then it just depends what your payload is, if how critical it is.
80% is not.
well, everybody's payload is the most critical payload ever.
No,
done,
but some
right?
are more expensive than others, and then some CEO will make a decision going with the safe one, because this is very, very expensive. We had another project that was less, and we would have went with these guys, but not this one. I mean,
Well,
So
you're-
what would be, sorry.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right, because if you look at SpaceX's manifest, they have people who are launching communication satellites to geostationary orbit, but it's like number 17 of their communication satellites, of which 7 are already in orbit, and this is a planned replacement for, so they are very, very eager to take the $100 million savings and pocket that. So you go with SpaceX.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you think there's any future launching without using chemical rockets?
Sure.
And is there some trend now, something promising now? So if we can eliminate this threat from using chemical fuel, right? Chemical explosive fuel.
Yeah.
Because that's how they blow up, right?
It's one of the reasons why they blow up, yeah.
Right, sometimes
Wait,
they just
I
have like
do-
an anomaly and then they have to blow up, right?
I do have a question. Does solid fuel is safer than chemical?
Yeah, but once you turn it on, you can't turn it off.
I know, I understand.
Okay.
I get that part, but I'm just asking that
I
question.
think there's still opportunities for failure if your skin is not temperature hardened and all that, yeah, so they can still pop out the other side. To Luigi's point, something in the plasma side looks promising.
Well, that superheated thing, if you eliminate the oxidizer, that's half of the problem.
Which is true because it wouldn't explode on its own.
Right, but the problem I have with that is you're kind of fixed to a point where you can launch from and where you can support it. It's not like you can just go anywhere and just take off or use have like a private aircraft somewhere in Buenos Aires and take off and end up in New York. You need to be going from that area and being supported by that area, even if you're, got another repeater station somewhere across the river.
Is it in the case that if you start burning it, it'll then just continue burning? Or you have to keep firing the laser?
You have to keep firing it, yeah. It's like fusion. Once you stop supporting it, it stops.
Well, your question was that there are other technologies. There's somebody that's just got a recent infusion of cash. Skylon is their aircraft. It's an aircraft that, yeah, I know. But they got some cash.
That's like, I wish I was as smart as those guys. They've been getting millions of dollars in
Yes.
funding for 20 years and they still don't have a product.
Here's what, just so people don't know what Skylon is. It's an air breather, multi-cycle engine. That's the core of the technology. It starts off as a jet engine, becomes a rocket, a ramjet.
A super ramjet?
Yeah.
It becomes a scramjet.
Scramjet.
Right. So the advantages are is that you don't have to carry the oxygen while you're in the atmosphere. You use the atmospheric oxygen, and then you land with these empty tanks, allegedly at normal airports. So they envision that you would have transcontinental travel, in transoceanic travel, here to Japan, 45 minutes.
Yep. And most of that would be going up and coming down.
Exactly. Now, like he says, they must be geniuses at marketing because they get a lot of money and they have had like just computer models and simulated parts of the engine.
No, but they've had some coal fires and a little bit of hot fires. So in their defense, creating something like that is extremely difficult.
Yeah, the key is that they want to bring down temperature of the oxygen coming in. Remember, they're using the oxygen from 3,000 degrees to like 100 degrees
That
in
is
a nanosecond.
so hard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's impossible.
Maybe.
Right.
They would,
But they're getting funded.
Well, I just want to say, I'm no bazillionaire, but I'm talking to VC guys, and one thing they talk about is who's your team. So it might not be so much marketing, but like you mentioned, that 2-star general guy, if he's on a team, he's gold for a lot of VC.
Yeah, but for 20 years, that's a different thing. 20 years is a government investment. Like VCs have.
Well, they want the ROI. Yes, you're right.
VCs